I lost that. Now let's go.
Welcome in all my average gamers to another most average impression. Now today what we're working on, or what we're talking about I should say, I am kind of working on it as well, is Starfield. And oh boy, is this game this game is something else. The talk about this game around the intrawebs is pretty crazy. It's got to be one of the most divisive games I've seen released in quite some time. I mean, I've never seen so many people not play a game but have such a hard-felt opinion about a game that they've never even played before, or only played like the opening, like couple hours or something like that. And sorry, itch on the head. I think that it's kind of odd that people, I think people are still bitter. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like, this is coming from a Sony pony here, okay? This is coming from a Sony pony. I think people are a little bitter because I know I'm bitter that Starfield is now on PlayStation. All right, and I think that's a big part of it, and why you're seeing these crazy zeros and tens, and like, just honestly, like, I'm only about 20 hours into the game, so that's why this is an impression and not a full review, because I wouldn't feel right reviewing this game only 20 hours deep. There's too much to the game. It's the same thing with like the last impression I just did with Baldur's Gate 3. There's way too much content in the game to only put 10, 15, 20 hours into it and feel confident in an actual review of the game. And I think, so that's why, I can feel for some of the reviewers out there that only had a week or so with the game and, maybe couldn't put a ton of hours in. But that's where you got to have some more. And that's why I'm not releasing, a review yet. But to start off with, I will say the one thing that, the discourse around this game is that it starts off pretty slow. Yeah, it starts off pretty slow. I will say you probably won't. And I know that sounds crazy because, like, okay, so if the first 3 hours of the game aren't very good, then it's probably not a very good game, right? And like, I get where you're coming from, because like the hook, it's gotta hook you in. But I just feel like there's not that big opening Bethesda moment that like every other game has had, like Fallout 3 when you first step into the wasteland, Fallout 4 when the fucking nuke goes off in the distance, and Skyrim you got a gosh dang dragon, attacking you right off, about to get your head chopped off. There's all kinds of things going on. Even Oblivion. Okay, Oblivion's kind of I would put this on par with the Oblivion opening. Okay, but the thing that Oblivion still had that I feel like this game kind of lacks is that step out moment. Now, I understand that Bethesda probably had to make a choice here. Okay, so if you're starting off as a miner, you're probably not going to be on a lush, green, beautiful planet mining. You're probably going to be mining more on, well, a planet that's kind of just a giant rock. And so, yeah, you start off on what might be the single ugliest friggin' planet in the game. Seriously, like Mars has more atmosphere going on in this game than this starting planet, like Cretan or something like that. I forget the name at the moment. But yeah, once you get past those first like 3, 4, 5 hours and you start getting into it, you get to a New Atlantis, which is like the first major city you'll come to, and probably the biggest city in the game, I would say. Probably the biggest. No, not probably. It definitely is the biggest city Bethesda's ever made. But so the opening, yeah, like I said, definitely starts off a little rough. And once you get to a New Atlantis and you can start doing your own things, honestly, it was kind of crazy. When I first got to New Atlantis, the first thing I did was start fucking around the shipbuilder. I was like, all right, let's see what this is. And I was like, all right, whatever. I'll probably dabble with it for a few seconds and move on. And the next thing I know, like 3.5 hours later, I got my own custom ship here and stuff, and like I just got absolutely lost into the shipbuilder, and it was I was impressed. It's got some depth to it, and there's a lot that you can do there. I haven't done any of the outpost settlement stuff yet. I haven't really dabbled with that. I think I put down a single outpost like beacon thing, but that's all I've done. I will say though that this game, even though it lacks the step out moment initially, I think once you start kind of traveling to a few planets, you seeing the different biomes, you even just looking at the star map itself is kind of like their substitute, I think, for the step out moment. Like, it's not like awe-inspiring visual and stuff like that, but it gives you that scope, that that feeling of like, wow, I there's a lot out there to see, and I can just pick wherever I want and I'm off. And like, so Bethesda's always had that, but I will say that I think because some planets are pretty lame compared to other planets, the exploration isn't always as good, equally across like playtime. And I also think that unlike, you know, Skyrim, where you can kind of, I mean, I guess how good can a game be in space? You know, space is kind of empty, black. Like, I've never really enjoyed space games that much. Like, I love Mass Effect, right? But Mass Effect, again, is more spent inside a ship, inside a fucking space station, inside or on a planet. But you're all, you know, it's all linear stuff. And I think you almost want to play Starfield like you would play Mass Effect, even though there is an open world that surrounds these linear missions. But like, that's where a lot of the meat is, and a lot of the enjoyability of the game, I think, is really more in the missions, the side quests, the factions. Like, that side of Bethesda's storytelling, I think, is really what shines here more than other games. Now, I will say, I haven't been entirely fully engrossed in any of the stories yet. I'm doing the Ranger, the Freestar Collective Ranger side quest, faction quest right now. Like, that one so far has like pulled me in the most, and I'm almost done that one. But like, the main quest it's cool. It definitely has me intrigued, unlike the main quest of, say, I mean, I don't know. I was kind of intrigued by the main quest the first time I did Skyrim, but I can't see me ever like. But then you never. Then anytime you play Skyrim again, you know, you pretty much just ignore the main quest and just go do it. Especially because you don't want to have fucking dragons flying around every 15 seconds, because that can be a little ridiculous sometimes. But I will say, let's go on to some of the positives of the game, which honestly, in my opinion, most of this game is positive. I think there's a lot of positives to be said. So the first thing that a lot of people are saying is this game is incredibly polished, runs well, blah 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 blah. No. All right, the game is probably the most polished and best performing Bethesda game at launch to date, but that's not a really high bar. So I would say, yeah, they raised their own bar, but they're still not really on par with some of the other industry leaders, in my opinion. I will say, though, that even though you don't spend a ton of time in space traveling around and stuff, the space dogfights pretty fun. It's simple, it's easy. That's what little bit of VATS remain from Fallout 4. You'll find that in the spaceship combat. Another thing that I found entirely just amazing, just engrossing, just made me have a ton, like, I don't know why, but jumping around zero grav with your little booster pack, I give it to you, Bethesda. That's fun. That's fun. I'll just jump around, hippity hopping around for no reason, just hippity hopping. My day's away. But yeah, I will say, so like, traversal isn't terrible on the low gravity planets, but then when you get to a higher gravity planet where you can't like run, jump, and just yeet yourself across, you know, fucking 300 meters, it's not as fun, because the points of interest on these planets are like thousands of meters apart sometimes, and it's just, some planets, like I said, have interesting things to see, different biomes and stuff that are pretty cool, but some planets not so much. So when I gotta run for 1,000 meters in game, and you know, it's a fucking 1.8 gravity, so I can't even really run or jump or anything, like, it's just, it can be a little tiresome. But the zero grav running and jumping exploration is amazing. The other thing too is the bounty. There's so many random encounters. Like, well, I had a random encounter with a bounty hunter. I've had a random encounter with like some photographer that was randomly in a cave on a planet, and I was like, "The fuck are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I gotta," and then I just killed him because he was annoying. You know, so that's the one thing that they do really well in this, is just the random encounters. I just running from one end of New Atlantis to the other, you probably pick up like 10 quests, just overhearing NPCs talking about things and things that you can investigate and things that you can look into and stuff like that. And I think that's pretty well done. I like that. Like, I think I would say that's immersive, because in real life, you know, that's how a lot of things are. You know, you overhear or see something or whatever, and that piques your interest, and then you dive into it, and like, so I think that part of the Bethesda exploration and stuff is done really well. I just think that Would it have been nicer to maybe have like one galaxy to explore where everything's kind of more hand done and more a little bit more tight knit? I think maybe, yeah, that could have. But at the same time, I also don't think Starfield is designed poorly. I think it's just the fact that it's not. The procedural generation is done well, but there's not enough content for these procedural like keys and instances to pull from, I think. So you'll see repeated outposts and repeated caves and things like that. Now, I will say, because I'm only 15 hours in and I've primarily followed quest more than just like randomly going out, I haven't seen a lot of repeated stuff. But I have watched things on YouTube and TikTok and stuff, and I've seen that there definitely is repeat outposts. But trust me when I say, like, give this game your honest try and opinion. Give it 10-15 hours, give it a try. It's on Game Pass. I mean, worst comes to worst, you don't have Game Pass yet, you're dropping $15 to try it out. That's a pretty good deal for a game with literally hundreds of hours of content. Now, will you enjoy those hundreds of hours of content? That's what you need to determine. But I would say that this is a game definitely worth a try from what I've put in and what I've done. The other thing that is just incredibly impressive is the amount of clutter and detail, especially on interiors in this game. The amount of clutter and detail that Bethesda puts on and in and around everything is awesome, and it makes the world incredibly immersive. And that's something I've always loved about Bethesda game. That's why I've been waiting 10 fucking years for a new Bethesda game. Fast travel, yeah, this is basically a fast travel simulator, though. I will say there is a lot of fast traveling in this game, and at first it was like, wow, this kind of sucks. But then I realized, like, do I really want to be like fluttering around in space for tens of hours trying to get from one planet to another? Probably not. So I think there are times where the fact that I can just pull up a menu real quick, fast travel to 10,000 fucking light years away. I mean, that's not that far. I get it. 15 light years away, whatever it is amazing. Like, honestly, like it makes getting from one point of the quest to another point of the quest pretty seamless. And especially, I will say, like, because the game's meant to be played on modern SSDs and stuff like, the load times aren't terrible. I will say, if you do the long route of going to your ship, getting on your ship, so let's say you go to your ship, try to enter your ship, load screen, be on your ship, walk to the cockpit, get in the cockpit, take off, then you got your animation, then you got a load screen. So you see where I'm going with this. If you do that the long way rather than just press the start menu, click the X button, set course, boom, you're there. So there is an easy way to fast travel. There's a long way to fast travel. It depends what you want. If you want to be more immersed and see every little detail, every little moment and stuff like that. The other thing too is the lore that Bethesda has created for this game. Oh, my light shut off. Shoot. The lore that that Bethesda has created for Starfield is pretty incredible. I mean, it is very clear that they put tens of hundreds of hours just writing the lore and backstory and makeup of this world, this universe, and it's impressive. Like, every nook and cranny, every little nook and cranny that I discover has something new that I haven't seen, something that is just like, oh, okay, so that's how that happened. That's why Earth is like this now. That's why it's a big giant dust bowl. That's why we had to go up into space. That's why there's 3 different rival factions and then a pirate faction, and like, there's a reason for everything in the game, and I'm genuinely impressed by that. There's nothing in the game that's just there just because, oh, it looks cool. There's like a reason for everything. So that's another part that's impressive. The factions so far, great. Crimson Pirates, of what I've seen of that. The Rangers, what I've seen of that, and then what I've heard of the UC like Vanguard storyline, it all sounds just amazing. The final thing that I think I'm going to touch on really here, so I don't go on to another just crazy tangent, is probably the skill system and how it works. I think I like it. I'm on the fence on this one. All right, I'm on the fence on this one because it still has the whole like, oh, it has like XP grind to unlock skill points. But then to unlock higher tiers of said skills that you use the skill points to unlock, you have to do challenge. You have to use, a melee weapon or a ballistic weapon, or so kind of has that whole like Skyrim feel. It's like a mixture between Fallout and Skyrim, or Fallout and Elder Scrolls. We don't have to say Skyrim. It's the Elder Scrolls series and the Fallout series. It's kind of like they had like a little baby together, and like it came out with the Starfield system. So I can't quite tell yet if I like it. I'm leaning more towards enjoying it and less towards it's crap. So I will say that, but I'm not totally sure on that. But overall, like I said, guys, pretty much throughout this whole thing, are there positive and negatives to this game? Yes. Is some of it going to be pretty subjective on what you do and don't like? Absolutely. But does this game deserve a chance? And do I think this is a good game off of first impressions? Absolutely. 100%. Now, am I biased? Probably, because I am a huge Bethesda fan. Like, I think Fallout, like, I enjoy Fallout 76, okay? And I know that's a dumpster fire, and I still have fun playing that game. I think that's one of those games where you shut your brain off, you just go in, pew pew, craft some shit, blow some shit up. It's fun, okay? But this game, I think, really does go back to Bethesda's roots of like when they were making Oblivion and Fallout 3, and I think I think they have taken a lot of what they've learned over the years. I think there's definitely some things that they could still work on. Okay, there's still bugs in there. There's still that Bethesda jank, absolutely. But overall, my friends, thank you so much for listening to my tangent here on Starfield and what I thought. I hope you give the game a chance. Let me know what you thought of the game in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you did like the content. If you hated the content, I guess give me a thumbs down. But I mean, let me know why you didn't like the content in the comments below. As always, my friends, stay safe, stay healthy, stay sexy, and go make some average plays for your boy. I'm gonna catch you on the next one. I'm over. I'm out. Deuces, y'all.